You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go. Episode 10 of the It's Real podcast. Welcome. I'm Andrew Yagi, and I'm a real estate agent.
Hi, I'm Kayla and I'm a mortgage loan officer.
Kayla, long time no see. People were probably wondering, I think, what did we take a week or so hiatus? And
yeah, a little bit.
Probably thought we fell by the wayside, but we're back.
They may have thought we gave up on the podcast, but we have not. We are still providing valuable, relevant content.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, Kayla, and, part of the reason, we try to be really intentional about scheduling this out, but things have been really busy in the real estate realm.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about what's been going on with you.
Well, I always say the warm weather brings, more borrowers. It's like people get out of their homes. In Fargo, North Dakota here, we have the Parade of Homes that's coming up this weekend. And so in anticipation for that, we have the magazines for the Parade of Homes that come out. We're having many different, whether it's lenders and banks and builders advertising, kind of creating this buzz for people to get out, go see homes, but most importantly, get approved before you find your dream home. So I have been personally busy with a few recordings and videos for some home builders and for the local parade, but also getting people approved before they find that dream home. So it's really picked up.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I'll definitely echo that. I mean, the real estate, for us as agents, things have really come alive. My business focused more on listing homes. We do work with plenty of buyers as well, but really have been listing quite a number of homes. And just, life circumstances have a way of changing. So there are a lot of people that are looking to make moves for various reasons. So we're just kind of trying to help them reach their real estate goals. And I heard someone not long ago say that, boy, the market this spring is going to be like it was 2 years ago to a lesser degree. I mean, a lot of activity, but rates are obviously higher. So that's obviously going to put a little bit of a damper on, on competition and what someone's able to pay. So.
Right. Are you still seeing, or I should say, are you currently seeing bidding wars at all, competition as, things have gotten busier? Or are you seeing it's not as competitive as?
Yeah. So I will say if a home is very desirable and it's appropriately priced, we're seeing quite a number of offers on homes. I've had anywhere from a single offer on a home, in maybe a more rural community to, even in not much more of a populated community, 3 offers. I've had 5 offers on some. And so not paying quite as much over, like in my community 2 years ago, people were paying $20,000 to $30,000 over on an average $200,000 to $300,000 house. You might get something at asking price. This time around, I've seen as high as $17,000 over on an average home. So it just really depends on who wants it and how bad they want it, Kayla.
Right. Absolutely. And where it's priced too, whether it's priced appropriately and if they're not seeing a lot of traffic or giving seller concessions. So I'm seeing it kind of on both ends. I'm seeing competition. I've had some people lose out, but I'm also seeing no offers and some seller concessions. So it's kind of a mix depending on price point.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. So obviously you've been busy, Kayla. How are you finding balance?
Oh, balance, such a precious word. I had a conversation with a friend in the business this morning, Andy, and we were talking about how I think in this market, it's been really hard, right? You're kind of seen as somewhat of a commodity in real estate and lending. And so some of the people have leaned away, and some of us, where I guess I'm speaking on your behalf too, we've really leaned in. We're doing whatever we can to fine tune, to improve our systems, our efficiencies. But we've also really just kind of leaned in so much that we have so much on our plates, right? We want to prove our value and make sure that our clients are taken care of. It's a harder market. For me, one thing that I've recently just done is I've stepped back from booking a lot of one-on-ones to maybe do one-to-manys to allow myself the ability to kind of just have more Kayla time. Because I know that the more time that I have to reflect and be a better version of myself, that makes me a better lender, wife, dog mom, everything. So I've kind of taken a step back from some meetings,
Mhm.
and I've really challenged myself to take some time off, especially as it warms up, to just kind
Yeah.
of decompress. Are you kind of feeling that too, Andy, where it's so much all of a sudden, and then you're like, I'm going to take care of Andy?
Yep, things sound, yeah, you're spot on. And in fact, it's funny you mentioned that because, well, not only is real estate getting busy, I mean, this is my, starting my third year in real estate. Our business is really growing immensely. There are a lot of people that are coming to us, just especially for our marketing and video and a lot of things that we're doing. But with that too, my family's been growing. We had, a new 3 months ago. My wife went back to work last week. We're actually for daycare for her, kind of punting for 7 weeks because our daycare provider doesn't have a spot for her at this point. So, it's just a lot of other pressures, and then I'm busy with a lot of flying activities and other things. So I've actually cut back quite a bit. There's a lot. I'm very heavy, like you, Kayla, on personal and professional development, and I've hit pause on all of that. Even some music lessons I've taken, and really just trying to find more time for family and for me, because it is getting overwhelming.
I listened to an Ed Milet podcast yesterday, and sometimes our brains kind of go, what's next? What's next? And I
Yeah.
think, that's taught from a young age, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, through college, and as people that want to continue to advance, sometimes we're seeing that finish line keeps moving, right? That's what Ed was saying, is it keeps moving and you can never catch it, and you're adding more and what's next, where sometimes it's okay to just keep the finish line for where you're at, hit that, and then restart. Be thankful, be grateful, because in our world, there's no caps. There's no, the sky's the limit. But at some point, that can cause serious burnout. And you're never going to achieve everything. And Andy, I'm sure you're, sprinkled with constant coaching opportunities, or, now go get listings here, or maybe you should, do more flying so that you can, go here and there and everywhere. But at some point, we have to be very thankful for what we have and say, okay, after this finish line, let's just take a breather. That's kind of how that hit me differently when I heard that.
Yep,
Move the
you're
finish
absolutely right. And I think, for high achievers and, people like us who are people pleasers, I mean, we want to help everybody reach their goals, but, it's so easy to, in that pursuit, forget about, the things that are important to you, your family, and everything else. So,
line. Right.
I'm glad we're on the same page,
We
Kayla. And
always are, Andy.
yeah, absolutely. So, well, Kayla, I want to jump into kind of the topic of our show,
Mhm.
today, and that just kind of talks about. There's been a lot of discussion out there. People saw, I know for sure on Fox News, I don't know where else, but just kind of
Mhm.
talking about, all of a sudden that those who have good credit, that the government or Joe Biden put out information that says if you have good credit, you're going to get penalized. In fact, if I Google it, I mean, there are tons of articles out here just talking about, hey, if you've got good credit, you're going to face penalties, and those that have bad credit are getting benefits, whether in the news tab or, why it's going to cost you more money if you have good credit. And Kayla, people are losing their minds. In fact, I see you make a video, kind of laying out the facts about this the other day.
Yeah, I made a quick video that, there is some truth to this, Andy. There is. But the way that the headlines are reading, it's causing panic, it's causing misinformation. Because the headlines that you're seeing are good credit borrowers are the ones getting penalized. What does that mean to the consumer? It feels like if you have good credit, you're going to get a worse rate than someone with a lower credit score. How dare Joe Biden? Well, in reality, that's not true. And a lot of people were saying, okay, it's starting May 1st. So there's some truth to that too. This has actually been something that's been in place since March, and it's for loans closed and delivered to Fannie and Freddie as of May 1st. So this means these loans would have had to have closed April 25th or 26th, meaning that any loans closing after the 1st. So if you are purchasing a home and you locked in your rate, April 1st, those were in place. So it feels to me like it's causing some chaos. and maybe it's on purpose, but one of the things that we have here is the Mortgage News Daily. I love that website. It's something that I subscribe to stay on top of things as a mortgage lender. This is probably one of 25 things I get. But this is an article that came out in April that says, is there really a new unfair mortgage tax on those with high credit? So what, and just like we said, it even says in here, seemingly overnight, it's an unfair tax on those with good credit.
Mm-hmm.
So, before people start ruining their credit to get a better interest rate, please stop. Please don't do that. That is not the case. So,
so you mean I shouldn't have sent my wife on a shopping spree and invited her to open a bunch of new cards and order that new Peloton?
well, if she's paying her bills on time and she's not maxing out her credit cards, it might actually be helping establish credit. So tell me she's okay with her new Peloton equipment. In fact, I encourage it. I've seen you have both now, the treadmill and the bike. Good
they're awesome.
But Andy, if you scroll down here a little bit, I want to point out a few things on this. There should be a chart here. So if you right there, it says purchase loans, change versus previous. A reminder, this is not FHA, USDA, it's not VA, this is conforming. So this is not applying to everybody even, because we all know that there's multiple programs out there, right? So this is for loans delivered to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So if you look at those purchase loans, change versus previous, loan level pricing adjustments, that's what LLPA means. So do you see right now, it's showing the chart, kind of some red and some green there?
Yep, I see that.
So you'll see that in those areas, the new changes, red means it's getting worse for those. You'll see the credit scores on the left and the down payment or the loan to value at the top. So do you see, let's take, for example, if you had a 760 FICO and you were putting, let's just look at 10% plus down. It's right around a quarter.
Right here?
Yeah, so right in there. A little over 5 to 9.99 down. A quarter of a hit you will see now with the new changes. But do you see, if you go all the way down, you'll see you're actually going to get a little bit of a credit compared to the current pricing. This is not in relation to each other. This is just saying if you have a 660 score, your pricing is going to get a little better. But what we're not seeing, what the media is not showing, is that exactly, Andy, you scroll down. If you look at that, you're going to get a half of a hit. But I'm sorry, if you got a 640 score, do you see 1.875 down there? That's not better than a half. Right. So we're seeing that it's become a little bit of a hit to those with good credit compared to where it used to be. But we're also seeing those with worse credit, it's a little bit better. But in relation to the two, you are not getting a better rate if you're having a low credit score. So
Kayla, let me ask, why is this being done? Why are Fannie and Freddie doing this in the first place?
So essentially to make it a little easier for those that potentially couldn't get a loan before, more affordability, the ability to buy a home if you had a little bit worse credit. Essentially, that's it. The biggest takeaway from this is that, one, it's already in place, but two, make sure you're working with a lender that's going to run options. Because Andy, do you see, if you put 5% down at the very top right there, do you see that? Versus if you put 25% down, your lender might be able to educate you. That's what I do, is let's put 5% down. Let's get you a better rate. And then maybe we do a recast where you put more down later and we re-amortize it. But essentially, it is more important now than ever to have a lender that's running different options and to not assume the more you put down, the better the rate.
Sure, absolutely. No, that does make a lot of sense. And again, we preach it all the time, Kayla, kind of the importance of relationships and, just making sure that you have people that are good in your corner, that are really knowledgeable. I've worked on a transaction this year, Kayla, and I had a lender, kind of reach out and say, Andrew, why are the buyers doing a home inspection? Why is that even necessary? We're going to have the appraisal and that'll be the inspection. Yeah. And so I had done, and it was a lender in a fairly rural area who's pretty new to the business. Okay. It took some time to educate, but I'm like, boy, it's so important for buyers to do a third-party home inspection just to see if there are any showstoppers and to kind of know what they're getting into, which, we'll talk more about that maybe on another episode. But that just kind of drives home your point of, making sure that you have good, knowledgeable, experienced advisors in your court, because I know, like, to be a real estate agent, the barriers to entry are pretty low. I thought it was a little bit higher to be a lender, but I learned that it turns out it really isn't.
It's not. No, and I think you're so spot on, Andy, because if you just say, hey, my cousin got this rate, why don't I have this rate? Well, first and foremost, if we're looking at these rates today, the conforming, that's one program. That's one option versus all the other government loans. This doesn't even impact down payment assistance like North Dakota Housing or Minnesota Housing.
Sure.
So just depending upon what programs you're doing as a consumer, do not just hear a rate in your head and think, oh, well, why don't I have that? Because you don't know if your cousin or your niece or your sister is paying, 3 points. So let's just say $5,000 for their rate. And so that's why when you are working with a lender, get a pricing grid, get a loan estimate, because then you're going to see your true costs. And to your statement, make sure you're working with people that really understand what they're doing. Because, Andy, I'm sorry, if a client wants to get a home inspection, amen, because that is totally different than an appraisal.
Yep, absolutely. And again, there is a lot of confusion, and it's really easy for us as individuals who work in this, sometimes to forget that, not everyone has a lot of experience. I mean, we're obviously both lucky to, have clients that, have made multiple purchases or sales with us. Those clients are great. They know the ropes. It's really easy. But there are a lot of people that don't have a lot of knowledge, which one of the joys I get from this as well is working with those first-time home buyers, working with those first-time investors, those people that, they know where they want to be. They just don't quite know how to get there. So.
Well, and even the seasoned buyers, there's no shame in asking questions or not knowing. We as lenders, we as, realtors, we have things change constantly in our business. In fact, when these adjustments, these LLPAs came out, we were all, what does this mean? How does this impact us? Because there's so much flurry and so many headlines. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram or Lemonade or Snapchat, you are seeing things constantly there. And then people take that, just like the 40-year loan, which does not exist for an FHA purchase. I'm going to put that out there. Really hard not to latch onto that and share. And then people share and they see. So again, the importance of relationships, Andy. Find someone that has experience. And if they don't know the answer, they're going to get it for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said, Kayla. Well, I think you've done a good job of kind of laying out, information and kind of, adding perspective, to these mortgage changes, so to speak. Of course, if anyone does have additional questions, welcome to reach out to you, Kayla, or to me as well. You'll do a more eloquent job of kind of laying it out, but kind of the long and the short, and in layman's terms, this is not something that should be feared.
No, it should not. And if you're working with the right people that can just walk you through it and your options, you'll be good as gold.
Wonderful. Well, Kayla, thanks for joining me. It's been good after our little hiatus to reconnect. Have a great week.
I will if you will.
Yep, we'll see you.